daughter, eldest child, Judith. I used to go by Judy. My mother and my two brothers, Ken and Dave, are over there. I'm just going to read Dad's obituary. I feel like Dad's here right now. Gary asked me to read this because I did write it with help from my mom, so I hope I have all the facts straight. So, Don Harvey Card, 1937 to 2022. Don Harvey Card, age 84, passed away peacefully, surrounded by his loving family, on January 24th, 2022 at 7:20 p.m. He was born in Spanish Fork, Utah on December 1st, 1937 to Walter Clare Card and Louisa Viola Stone Card. Don was the 10th of 11 children: Clint, Chris, Leora, Dick, Vivian, Carol, Karma, Ronnie, Glenda, Dawn, and Gary. It's a mouthful. He married Rosemary Patricia Ock, now known as Neshama Sterling, on June 17, 1961, and later his second wife, Dolores Maureen Farnsworth, on May 18, 1997, who passed away on October 28, 2013. Don had a brilliant mind and a clever wit. After graduating high school as the high school valedictorian, he earned his bachelor's degree at the University of Utah. He met his first wife, Rosemary, in a partial differential equations class while pursuing his MBA at Stanford University. His career flourished with his seminal work in the analysis of satellite data for NASA at the Ames Research Center. After retirement, he returned to Salt Lake City to earn his PhD in geography. A gifted pianist of classical music, Don brought much joy with his renditions of his vast piano repertoire, especially the Chopin ballads. A master chess aficionado, he was awarded a roomful of chess trophies, but none were as cherished by him as his championship softball trophy from his NASA team, the Banana Sluggers. Don enjoyed a lifetime of learning and studied linguistics and philosophy. Nobody in the family could beat him in puns, trivia, or chess. Nobody. His children have happy memories of their childhood in the Santa Clara Valley, California, where they frolicked in apricot orchards with the mice and the lizards. They were heavily influenced to pursue their love of music through listening to Don's disciplined piano practicing. He was a beloved father and grandfather, survived by his children, Judith Card, Ken Card, and Dave Card in Seattle, as well as his granddaughter, Ashley Hammond, in Seattle, his sisters, Vivian Loya, Karma Childs, and brother, Gary Card. His former wife, Neshama, and he was fond of his stepdaughter, Jenny Cruz Mesa, and her son, Jaden Mesa, of Salt Lake City. Also survived by his 51 nieces and nephews, too numerous to list here. Don returned to Utah in his later years to be close to his brothers and sisters, then relocated to Seattle in 2018 to spend his final years with his sons and daughter. They will miss him terribly. Thank you.
Hi everybody, I'm Jolene Card, a Shogun. My dad is Gary, and came to me as quite a surprise this morning, and so hopefully I can do it justice. I know I won't be able to do it the justice that my dad would have, because I'm telling you, he spent the last 3 months just pouring over memories and pictures, and the time and the energy that he's put into this project to out of love and respect for Don and the rest of the family is just overwhelming. We thought it was going to do him in, and maybe it has. I don't know. He's on today, just not feeling good, and I feel terrible that he couldn't be here with you because of the preparation that he's gone through for this, and I feel very honored to try and help him out with this today. So I'm going to kind of read some of his words and then fill in a little of my own, but we'll see how this goes. he wanted me to be sure to tell you all that he feels really bad that he can't be here today, and to give you his apologies and tell you all how much he loves you and how much he loves Don, his brother, and his older brother. And he begins, he wants to share his experiences growing up with Don. And of course, Don and Gary were the two cabooses of the family. And so out of 11 kids, as was stated earlier, to Viola and Walter Clare Card. So Dad was a miner. Gary's dad, my grandpa, was a miner. And during summer vacations, Grandma, or Viola, she insisted that the family go and camp at the place where Grandpa was mining. And so that's what they did during their summer vacations. Don and Gary helped out their dad a whole bunch in mining. That was a lot of their growing up and a lot of their experience. My dad has always looked back on that with fondness. I've never heard him give a derogatory remark on growing up that way. So, are you going through the slides as we're doing this? Sorry, I need to. Are they? Okay. All right. I don't know if I was supposed to give you kind of a description, but I know you at the back probably can't see the pictures very well. But this is a picture at the well pump. Don Card is standing at the well pump and at Callio. Sorry, thank you. Callio, near the Go Shoot mine in Utah. So, and then here our mother, which is affectionately what Dad calls Viola and Grandma Card to me, Helen, Glendenning, Glenda, and John and Don at the Go Shoot Canyon mine near Callio, Utah. And then Mother, Gary, Vivian, Karma, and Glenda at the Go Shoot mine near Callio in the West Desert. And I'm sorry, you can't see that over there. You'll have to look at them afterwards. So, this is Glenda, Vivian, Carol, Karma, Don at Callio again. And then Don on the Studebaker in 1940. Okay, and then Mom with her 6 girls and Don in 1940. And this is Don on his pedal car at 3081 South State Street, Salt Lake, about 1940. So, is that on? Okay, all right, and then we've got a picture of Clint and Dick, I believe. Yes, there we go. My dad really wanted to put this in here. He talks a lot about how Clint and Dick enlisted in the military during World War II. Clint was in the Army Air Corps at age 18, and Dick joined the Navy at age 17. Okay, yes, and this is Don and Gary again at the Salt Lake City home, and they're little soldiers. Yeah, okay. So with this next picture, I'll talk about it in just a second, but my dad wanted me to relate an experience that he had in Elko, Nevada. An experience that was the most memorable was when our sisters took us for a tour of the Bleeding Heart mine. The mine tunnel was a deposit of red iron mineral with a natural seeping spring of water pulsating over the red iron ore, appearing as a bleeding heart. He thought that was really, really cool. And then this photo is of Don and Gary after Don caught his very first fish, and Gary says, I mean, you all know that Don is an incredible pianist, right? Gary says that he was an incredible fisherman as well, so. But he said we had fished this spot repeatedly, dangling hooks in front of their mouth, I guess the fish, on a huge boulder by a bridge without luck, probably because our shadows were cast on the water warning the fish. But this was what they caught, and they were pretty excited about it. So. All right, and then another experience he'd like to relate. In 1949, father and mother, along with Glenda, Don, and I, made a trip to Crystal Springs, Nevada in our 1940 Ford pickup. Maybe this is why he doesn't like Fords. I don't know. Glenda, Don, and I rode in the bed of the truck with no covering. On the return trip at about 11 p.m., we got a flat tire and didn't have a spare. We had just passed through the town of Bristol, Nevada, and Dad pulled over to the camp overnight. When we awoke in the morning, we realized we were in the local landfill area. So, Dad, lacking funds for a new tire, had to seek temporary employment and signed up for a mining position. So we spent 2 to 3 weeks living in a shack provided by the mining company. On the way back, we stopped at Partone to see the homestead we had acquired. And, this is at Partone. This is a photo of Leora and Don and Gary. Leora was our school teacher at the time, and it was a one-room schoolhouse with online grades meeting there. Each row was a separate grade. And he says our experience learning, reading, writing, and arithmetic, as well as the love of literature, prepared both Don and I for transition to higher education in Salt Lake City. And they both went to Central Junior High and Granite High School. And he, of course, as his daughter just read in the obituary, Don excelled as the top male student in his graduating class. Okay, and the next experience, just a couple more here, an experience at the Big Wash Mine. And the Big Wash Mine was above Ron and Robin Crouch's Hidden Valley Ranch, about 1953. Said Dad contracted to run a tunnel seeking a tungsten vein. While pursuing conclusion of the work, Don and I assisted Dad in the mining process. Mom and Dad left us at the mine while they went to Salt Lake for provisions. Vehicle problems resulted in Don and I being left alone for 2 or 3 weeks with no communication with anyone else, no telephone service. During that time, Don and I hiked about 5 miles from the mine down to what turned out to be the Hidden Valley Ranch. Mom and Dad showed up in a used truck they had purchased. And that was the end of the story. So I can't believe that. I don't know how they survived that, but they were tough. They grew up and they were tough. Okay, and then at Crazy Horse Canyon near Moab, Utah, during the uranium deposit rush, Mom, Dad, Glenda, Don, and Gary lived in a cave while Dad was mining uranium ore. So, and that's kind of where he ended. But just incredible experiences. I love it when he talks about his childhood because it just floors me what the family did and what they went through and how strong and tough they were, and yet such great people. I don't have a lot of memories of Don, but I do remember him, and I remember how incredibly well he played the piano, and I loved to watch his hands gliding over that keyboard. He was amazing, and I remember Grandma Card came to visit us one time. She sat next to me on the piano bench, and she told me what long, graceful fingers I had, and I thought to myself, I wonder if I'll be able to play like Don someday. And that never did come to fruition. But I'm still around, so who knows? But he was incredible, and I just want to tell you how much my dad loves his brother Don and the rest of the family. And thank you so much for this opportunity. Oh yes. Oh, there is one more. Oh yes, I apologize. Thank you for reminding me. So this picture my dad wanted to put in the PowerPoint. The first one on the left is him playing football for Granite High School, And the other side is Don, of course, playing the piano. And the reason that he put these two together is because Grandma Card, or Viola, she would not let Don play football because she was afraid he would injure his hands. But she told Gary that it was just fine.
Gary sent me the message that he would like me to tell a story, and I didn't really appreciate at the time how much the story is kind of like the rest of the story. Going on from the things that Gary had Jolene present, or that she presented for Gary, I realized how much a product of our family heritage I am, and we are. I think we share this so much. When I was, it was near the end of the Ice Age. Dinosaurs were still roaming. And I was a young girl at Portone. And in those days, Don and Gary always came as a pair. It was like neither one of them was married yet. They came, I saw them a lot at Grandma and Grandpa's house. There at Partone, Grandma and Grandpa were our nearest neighbors, and Don and Gary must have been, by the time I'm remembering, I guess they would have been going off to high school, and they would come more for visits than actually living there. But I do remember some really early memories, and I love that picture of Don and Gary standing there with the fish, because the first time I knew fish could taste good was when they had caught trout about that big and fried them in a pan over a campfire, and no fish has ever tasted that good to me again. There's something special about that. And then I do remember that in the summers we would go in whatever old car we had that people thought had died and Dad had resurrected, and we would go visit Grandma and Grandpa at whatever mining camp they happened to be working at. Grandma would usually be living with Don and Gary and Grandpa in some kind of tent that they would erect. And then the boys would help Grandpa all day in the morning, and Grandma would cook meals. I remember a lot of evaporated milk and kippers and canned meatballs. Anyway, we ate well. And we looked for kids every night after we'd been out in the brush all day. But anyway, fast forward about 40-some years, and my husband and I are raising a family. We'd had our eye on a piece of property for quite a while, and finally learned that it had come available for sale. So we started negotiating to buy this piece of property. Well, it turned out we were bidding against someone else, and the longer it went, the price was going up higher and higher, and we were getting a little discouraged because we had very limited funds to get the sale to work. But one night I told the owner, she and her husband he had died, and she went to live with their only daughter, so they weren't living on the property. But I called her to ask some questions about it, and I said, it's been a really long time ago, but my grandma and grandpa mined up North Fork, North Berkeley Wash, as they call it, and they were just up there one summer, and it just always felt like we kind of had a tie to your place. You have such a beautiful canyon there. And she just got really quiet. We were talking on the phone, and I didn't know. And then she said, I remember your grandma. And I said, oh, I doubt it. This had to be over 40 years ago. She said, no, I do. I remember your grandma. She used to come down, and we had the nicest visits. She said she had 2 young boys with her, and the one just played piano like an angel. She reminisced a little bit more and said, your grandma was such a lady, and oh, I loved that piano playing. So the next morning, I get up to a phone call, and the attorney calls me that we've been negotiating with, and he said, I have no idea what said Mrs. Osborne put yesterday. But she called me this morning and said, stop the bidding and sell the property to Crouches. So thank you, Grandma and Grandpa, and Gary and Dawn, and our wonderful family heritage. That explains a little bit why we still have a card reunion every year when we can, and invite as many people who will come, and the overflow get to camp. But we all get together, and a lot of the cousins have gotten more acquainted, and it's just because we do this, we get together, and we usually tell this story again, and just kind of realize this tradition of music and education and love and being part of the country and growing up as hard workers and forming a bond with where we live is a pretty strong heritage, and I think we all appreciate that, and Don has certainly done his share to bind us together in that tradition of music. So I'm happy to do this as an honor to Uncle Don, and I will miss him a lot too. He was a big part of my life growing up, and I think he still is.
For those of you who are trying to figure out who in the world I am, I'm Carol's daughter, Paula. And Gary was probably wise not to be here because when I talked to him, I said I do have some kind of random memories of Uncle Don that I would be happy to share. And I looked at the program and he's got me down as a speaker. So there will be payback somewhere. So he was wise not to be here today. You can pass that on to your dad. My memories of Uncle Don are so tied in with my mother's because they were so close. I remember even back when Glenda was still around, she and Glenda and Don would take Hebrew lessons. My question was always, Hebrew? Really? But they loved him, and I think it made them even closer. And I know that she always worried about her baby brother Don. And she always worried, is he okay? Is he happy? Is he healthy? And she would always be sure every year at Thanksgiving, Uncle Don would come to our house for Thanksgiving. And we would always send him home with far more leftovers, I'm sure, than he ever wanted. Because she wanted to make sure he was okay. And every other Tuesday, he would go to her house for dinner. Now, she never cooked for us. But dang it, she would cook for Don. And I know everybody has talked about him and his piano playing, and it was wonderful. And I'm sure you know that every so often, he would have a piano concert. And we always went. And I will tell you that the only time my kids ever complained about having to go was the very first time, because that was the only time they didn't know what a treat they were in for. After that, they were thrilled to go. And I will tell you, and if I have this wrong, for those music lovers who actually know about it, I apologize in advance, but he used to play, I believe it was Chopin's Military Polonaise, and I loved it. It is such a stirring piece. And every time I'd hear him play that, I would tell him, if I go before you do, I want you to play this at my funeral. And every time he would say, that is not really an appropriate piece. And every time I said, I don't hear it, I love it. And I can hear it, but even that, he would say, no, it's not going to happen. good. And every single time that I did love that piece. And he was so patient. I have 3 daughters, and he was so great with them. My youngest daughter, Jessica, and he just really bonded when she was little. He actually made a little wooden doll cradle for her that she still has, and she actually passed that down to her daughter. And her daughter still has that today. And then just to show how powerful his music was to my daughters, my middle daughter, Miranda, at one time was really struggling with school, and I could not find a way to inspire her to get with the program. And I tried everything. I tried money, which I still can't, to this day, can't believe didn't do it. Because it certainly would now. But I finally told her, I said, okay, you come up with a reward, something that, what will inspire you to get your grades up to, I can't remember what it was, but to some point. And she finally came up, if she got it to a certain point, that Uncle Don would do another piano concert for her. And it worked. And fortunately, Uncle Don was good enough to do it. And that was the high point of her school year, when he did this piano concert for her because she had gotten her grades up. And then my oldest daughter, so he did something great for honestly each one of my girls. My oldest daughter, Miranda, has a little boy. He's almost 7, but this was probably about 3 years ago. We were all over at my mom's house, and he happened to be there. And her little boy, Preston, went over to her piano and started banging on the piano. You know how little kids do. And you're just like, oh, please stop. Anyway, don't know what it was, but Uncle Don heard something, and he told Amanda, he said, in a few years, you need to get him going with piano lessons. We still, to this day, do not know what it was he heard, but he is now taking piano lessons, and apparently he's doing really well. So, thank you, Uncle Don. But we didn't see him all the time, but we saw him enough. He was a real influence on my kids, and now apparently even my grandkids. So, he was a great influence, and like I said, he and my mom were so close. And I know that she treasured every minute that she had with him. And we miss him. We all miss him. And we still talk about it. And we miss his piano concerts. So, like I said, I don't know if I'll get my choice of music when I go. Probably not. And I'm sure that even my kids will be saying, well, he told you. He told you couldn't do that. You know. Because they all thought that was hilarious that you told me I couldn't do that. But like I said, we all miss him. Thank you.
So we'll have our last musical number here. I just want to say, in those later years when our mother and Dawn were so close, they came up with an idea that they ought to call each other at a certain time every Wednesday morning, just to make sure they were each still around. And whenever one of them got a busy signal, or if God forbid somebody didn't hear their telephone, then they'd be calling all of us to say, either I had to go over to Don's house and make sure he was okay, or over to my mom's house, but they worried about each other all the time. And every Wednesday morning, lots of Wednesday mornings, we get a call to go check on one another. Anyway, thanks for everything. I know a few of you came in late and probably wanted to stand up and say something. Terry, if you just wait till after. Anyway, there'll be a chance to go up here and give a few thoughts. See, some people just can't stop.
You reminded me of the phone thing. We finally made my mom get a cell phone because we didn't want her to be out driving. She didn't drive very often, but we didn't want her to be out somewhere and have something happen and she couldn't get hold of anybody. So we forced her to get a cell phone. It wasn't long after that she made Don get a cell phone. If she had to have one, he had to have one too. And we made her use hers every so often just so she'd get where she was a little bit more comfortable with it. I don't know that she forced Don to use his, but I wouldn't be surprised.
She learned how to take hundreds of pictures of the inside of her pocket. Here we'll have Doug, it's your turn, so thank you, sir.
Call the sign of prayer.
The piano will be louder.
I guess we'll have a closing prayer and then we'll have the election.